C1. You were told college was an investment in your future. Get the degree, get the good job, pay off the loans, and live the American dream. Your parents said it. Your teachers said it. Every guidance counselor and college recruiter hammered it into your skull from the moment you turned 16. So you went. You took out the loans. You did everything right. And now you're 30 years old, making $55,000 a year, with $80,000 in student debt that feels like a mortgage, except you don't get a house at the end of it. I'm Nick, and I've spent months digging through the actual return on investment data for college degrees. And what I found is going to make you furious. Because the college-to-career pipeline that worked for your parents, it's completely broken. And an entire generation is drowning in debt for degrees that aren't delivering what they promised. Let me show you the numbers that the universities don't want you to see. Here's the stat that should make your blood boil. The average student loan debt for a bachelor's degree is now about $38,000. But that's just the average. Plenty of people are sitting on $60,000, $80,000, even $120,000 in loans for an undergraduate degree. And what did that degree get you? According to recent data, about 41% of recent college graduates are underemployed. That means they're working jobs that don't require a degree at all. They're bartending, doing retail, working administrative jobs that pay $35,000 to $45,000 a year. Jobs they could have gotten straight out of high school without spending 4 years and 6 figures on education. Let's do the math on what that actually costs you. $80,000 in student loans at 6% interest on a standard 10-year repayment plan means you're paying about $890 per month. That's $10,680 per year. Over 10 years, you'll pay nearly $107,000 total. You borrowed $80,000, and you're paying back $107,000. That extra $27,000 is pure interest going to loan servicers. But it gets worse. Most people can't afford $890 a month, so they go on income-driven repayment plans that stretch the loans over 20 or 25 years. Your monthly payment drops to maybe $400, which feels manageable. Except now you're paying interest for 2 decades. By the time you're done, you might have paid $150,000 for that original $80,000 loan. You'll be 50 years old, finally debt-free, having spent your entire prime earning years sending money to Navient instead of saving for retirement or buying a house. And here's the absolute gut punch. While you were in school racking up debt, you also lost 4 years of earning potential. If you'd started working at 18 instead of 22, even at a modest $35,000 a year, that's $140,000 in wages you didn't earn. Add the $80,000 in debt, and your degree actually cost you $220,000 in total opportunity cost. So the question is, did that degree increase your earning potential by $220,000 or more? For some fields, yes. For most, absolutely not. Let's talk about which degrees are actually worth it, because this is where the scam becomes crystal clear. If you're going into engineering, computer science, nursing, or accounting, college makes financial sense. These are fields where the degree is a strict requirement and the starting salaries justify the debt. A software engineer starting at $85,000 can handle $50,000 in loans. A nurse starting at $65,000 can make it work. But if you majored in psychology, communications, English, sociology, or political science, you got screwed. Not because those fields aren't valuable. They are. But because the job market doesn't pay you for them, and nobody told you that before you signed the loan papers. The median starting salary for psychology majors is about $38,000. For communications, it's around $40,000. You're making barely more than a high school graduate, except you've got $50,000 in debt and 4 years less work experience. And before you say, "But Nick, those degrees teach critical thinking and communication skills," let me stop you. That's the exact line universities use to justify charging you $40,000 a year for a degree with no clear career path. It's marketing. You can learn critical thinking by reading books and working real jobs. You don't need to go $80,000 in debt for it. The universities know this. They know that most liberal arts degrees don't lead to high-paying jobs. But they don't care because they get paid up front. You're the one left holding the bill. Now let's talk about the absolute scam of graduate degrees. You finished your bachelor's, couldn't find a good job, and someone told you to get a master's degree to be more competitive. So you did. You took out another $40,000 to $70,000 in loans for a graduate degree, thinking it would open doors. Except for most fields, it doesn't. A master's in education gets you maybe a $5,000 raise over a bachelor's. An MBA from a non-top-tier school might get you nothing. A master's in social work or counseling qualifies you for jobs that pay $45,000 a year. You just added 2 more years of debt and lost 2 more years of earnings for a degree that barely moved the needle on your salary. Meanwhile, the interest on your undergrad loans kept accruing while you were in school. I've met people with $150,000 in student debt from undergraduate and graduate degrees who are making $55,000 a year. Their loan payments are higher than their rent. They're never buying a house. They're never retiring. They're debt serfs, and the system did this to them deliberately. Here's what nobody tells you about student loans. They're nearly impossible to discharge in bankruptcy. You can't get rid of them. If you lose your job, get sick, have a financial catastrophe, too bad. The loans don't care. They'll garnish your wages, take your tax refunds, and destroy your credit. And the interest? It's predatory. Federal loans are sitting at 5% to 7% right now. Private loans can hit 10% or higher. You're paying credit card interest rates on education debt that you can never escape. Compare that to a mortgage. If you can't pay your mortgage, you lose the house, but the debt goes away. Student loans? You can't give back your degree to cancel the debt. You're stuck with it forever. This is by design. The student loan system is a wealth extraction machine. Banks and loan servicers make billions off interest payments, exposing the rigged system. Universities raise tuition every single year because they know students will just borrow more. The government backs the loans, so there's zero risk for lenders. Everyone profits except you. And let's talk about how tuition costs spiraled out of control, because this is where the scam becomes obvious. In 1980, the average cost of tuition at a public 4-year university was about $3,100 in today's dollars. By 2023, it hit over $10,000. That's a 223% increase. Private universities went from $15,000 to over $40,000. Tuition has grown faster than inflation, faster than wages, faster than healthcare costs. Why? Because universities realized they could charge whatever they wanted, and students would just borrow more. Financial aid didn't make college more affordable. It gave universities permission to raise prices because students had access to unlimited loans. The more aid available, the higher tuition went. It's basic economics. If customers have infinite money to spend, sellers will keep raising prices. Students became cash cows, and universities milked them dry. And what did that extra tuition money go toward? Did it improve education quality? Did class sizes shrink? Did professors get paid more? No. It went to administrative bloat. Luxury dorms, climbing walls and lazy rivers, massive sports facilities. Universities started competing on amenities instead of education because that's what attracted students who were borrowing money they didn't understand yet. You're paying $50,000 a year so the university can have a nicer gym and hire 6 more assistant deans who do nothing but justify their own salaries. Meanwhile, adjunct professors, the people actually teaching your classes, are making $30,000 a year with no benefits. The money isn't going to education. It's going to bureaucracy and luxury branding. Here's the part that'll really piss you off. College has become a class filter, not an education system. The kids whose parents can pay for college graduate debt-free. They can take unpaid internships to build their resumes because they don't need to work for rent money. They can move to expensive cities for entry-level jobs because mom and dad cover the gap. They can take career risks because they have a safety net. The kids who borrowed $80,000 can't do any of that. They need a paycheck immediately. They take the first job that covers the loan payment, even if it's not in their field. They can't afford to move for better opportunities. They can't take risks because one missed payment destroys their credit. So the rich kids start their careers with advantages compounding on advantages. The poor kids start underwater, and they spend the next decade just trying to break even. College was supposed to be the great equalizer. Instead, it became the great divider. It takes kids from working-class families, promises them a better life, buries them in debt, and spits them out into an economy that doesn't value their degree. And you want to know the really sick part? People will tell you it's your fault. You should have chosen a better major. You should have gone to a cheaper school. You should have worked your way through college. That's blame shifting. You were 17 or 18 years old when you made this decision. You were told by every authority figure in your life that college was the path to success. You were handed loan documents and told to sign. You didn't understand compound interest. You didn't know what the job market would look like 4 years later. You were a teenager making a $100,000 financial decision with incomplete information. And now you're being blamed for the consequences. The system is designed to trap you. And then it gaslights you into thinking you're the problem. So what do you do if you're already buried in student debt? First, if you're on a high-interest private loan, refinance if you can. Rates have come down. You might be able to save thousands over the life of the loan. Just understand that refinancing federal loans into private loans means you lose federal protections like income-driven repayment and potential forgiveness. Second, if you've got federal loans, get on an income-driven repayment plan if the standard payment is crushing you. Yeah, you'll pay more interest over time, but at least you can breathe now. And there's a chance, a small chance, that some form of loan forgiveness happens in the future. Don't count on it, but it's possible. Third, if you're still in school or thinking about going back, stop. Seriously. Do not take out more loans for a degree with unclear job prospects. If you're going to college, it better be for a field with a clear, high-paying career path. Otherwise, you're just buying an expensive piece of paper. And fourth, if you're already working, focus on increasing your income however you can. Side hustles, job hopping, skill building, whatever. The only way out of this debt trap is to earn more money. Because the loans aren't going away on their own. Here's the brutal truth. For a lot of people, college was a bad investment. They'd be financially better off if they'd skipped it entirely, started working at 18, and invested the money they would have spent on tuition. But nobody tells you that when you're 17 and touring campuses. They tell you college is essential. They tell you it's an investment in yourself. They tell you the debt is worth it. And for some people, it is. But for millions of others, it's the worst financial decision they'll ever make. And they'll spend decades paying for it. The college debt scam isn't an accident. It's a system designed to extract wealth from young people who don't know any better. And until that system changes, an entire generation will keep getting crushed under the weight of degrees that promised everything and delivered nothing. You're not stupid for going to college. You're not lazy for struggling with the debt. You were lied to, and now you're paying the price.